they went on a family vacation and left me behind like I was the maid. That morning I woke up early, just like I always did when something important was happening for them. My son, Eric, and my daughter-in-law, Vanessa, had been planning their family trip to Costa Rica for months, and I had been a part of every detail. Not as a guest, though at first I thought I would be, but as the one packing the sunscreen, checking the passports, confirming the flight numbers, organizing the children's medication schedules, and transferring money to Vanessa's account. Every time she said the agency was charging extra fees, I didn't question it. I should have. Hold on a moment before we move forward. Let us know where in the world you're watching from. And if you're loving these stories, don't forget to hit subscribe. Tomorrow's episode is going to be absolutely mind-blowing. They made it sound like a family event, something we all needed. "It'll be good for the kids," Eric had said, while Vanessa complained about the stress of organizing a trip for 4. She meant herself, Eric, and the 2 children, of course. Not me, but I was the one who handled the paperwork with the travel agency when Vanessa forgot the login. I was the one who drove across town twice to get a better rate on the children's travel insurance. I was the one who used my miles to upgrade Eric and Vanessa to business class because they needed rest. And those 2 deserve a break. In the weeks leading up to the trip, I kept asking subtle questions like, do I need to bring my own beach towels or are they provided at the resort? Vanessa would just smile and say, let's worry about your details later, okay? Later. Never came. The night before the trip, I helped the kids pack their bags. I folded tiny swimsuits into Ziploc bags, filled water bottles, and taped emergency contact numbers to the inside of each suitcase. I even baked oatmeal bars for the flight and handed them to Vanessa. They'll help keep the kids from getting sick eating airport junk, I said. She took them without looking at me. When I asked Eric what time we were leaving in the morning, he hesitated for just a moment too long. "I'll explain everything in the morning, Mom," he said. "Don't worry." At 6:20 a.m., I stood by the door with my small suitcase packed, passport in hand, waiting. The living room was quiet. The kitchen was clean. I noticed the dishwasher had already been run. Strange. I stepped outside onto the porch, and that's when I saw it. The driveway was empty. They were gone. I stood there barefoot in my robe, heart thudding in my ears, trying to make sense of... I opened my phone. No messages. I checked the group chat that Vanessa had made weeks ago for the Costa Rica trip. My name had been removed. My hands went numb. 5 minutes later, a single text from Eric arrived. "Mom, I'm really sorry. We didn't want to overwhelm you. We figured it would be best if you stayed and watched the house. It's just a lot of people and the trip is tight. We'll bring you something nice." That was it. No call. No explanation. No goodbye. I sat on the couch for almost 2 hours, staring at nothing. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't even move. I just sat there holding my passport like some kind of fool who believed she belonged. Vanessa had never liked me. That much had always been clear in the way she corrected me when I spoke to the kids, or rolled her eyes when I tried to give parenting advice. But Eric? My own son? I replayed every conversation we'd had in the last 2 months. Every small comment. Every avoided subject. Every moment where Vanessa spoke for both of them and Eric just stayed silent. I had paid for that trip. I had used my savings to cover the difference when the agency raised the prices last minute. I had upgraded their flights with my points. I had watched the kids every weekend so they could have a breather before the trip. And they had left me. Not by accident. Not by mistake. They had planned to leave me. Like I was the maid. Around noon, I made coffee. I stood in the kitchen, pouring it slowly, deliberately, into the same mug I had used every morning for the last 10 years. I stared at the steam and tried to remember the last time someone in this house had done something kind for me without me asking. I couldn't recall a single moment. Later that day, Vanessa posted a photo on Facebook. Eric and Vanessa would still receive something, but not everything. I wanted the kids to have a portion directly. I also made sure to include a letter with the documents. Not one filled with bitterness, but one that made things clear. A record, in my own words, of what I had given and what had been taken for granted. That was my final act of peace. They didn't need to know about it, not now. But one day they would. And when they did, I hoped they'd finally understand the difference between being helpful and being used, between being present and being erased. I didn't need them to love me the way I had loved them. I just needed them to know I wasn't invisible anymore. Printed neatly on a slip of paper that would never cover what had actually been taken from me. Money was never the real issue. It was the way they used it, the way they used me. I finally slid it into a drawer, not out of forgiveness, but because I didn't want it staring at me every morning while I drank my coffee. That Friday, I went to the park near my apartment. It was small, mostly empty, just a few benches and a walking path around a patch of grass. I brought a book, but I didn't read. I sat with my thoughts. I was trying to figure out what came next. Now that the house was behind me, now that I had my own space, now that the shock had worn off, Eric had been quiet since the visit. No messages, no calls. Vanessa hadn't reached out again either. Part of me was relieved. The silence gave me space to think. Another part of me wondered if they were waiting, expecting me to come around, to forgive, to fall back into the same patterns once enough time passed. I wasn't going to. The kids weren't to blame for any of it, but I also wasn't going to let them be used as bait. I knew Vanessa would eventually try again through them, and I had already made peace with the fact that putting distance between us meant missing some moments with my grandchildren. It wasn't an easy choice, but it was the only one that respected my dignity. That weekend, I cooked a proper meal for myself. No allergies to accommodate, no picky eaters, no complaints. Just a simple recipe I liked. I ate it slowly, with the TV off and the window open. That night, I slept through without waking once. On Monday morning, there was a knock at my door. Looked through the peephole and saw Ellie. Not Eric, not Vanessa, just Ellie, holding a brown paper bag with both hands, looking nervous. I opened the door carefully. "Hi, Grandma," she said quietly. "Daddy brought me. He's downstairs. I asked if I could come say hi by myself." I opened the door wider. She handed me the bag. Inside was a small Tupperware container with what looked like homemade macaroni and cheese, and a folded piece of paper on top. I stepped aside and let her in. She sat on the edge of the couch like she was in trouble. "I made you something," she said. "I know you're mad, but I miss you." I sat next to her. "I miss you too," I said honestly. She opened the piece of paper. It was a drawing. Stick figures of us in front of a house. Me, her brother. The house didn't look like Eric's. It looked like mine, the new one. "I asked Daddy if I could stay for dinner," she said carefully. "Just tonight." I didn't say yes right away. I looked out the window and saw Eric standing by his car. He wasn't looking up. He was pacing, staring at his phone. "I don't know if your mom would be happy about that," I said. "Daddy said it's okay if you say it's okay." I nodded slowly. "All right, just tonight." She smiled and ran to the kitchen to open the Tupperware. I reheated the macaroni and we ate at the table. She told me about school, her new teacher, a science project they were working on. She didn't ask why I didn't come around anymore. She didn't bring up the trip. I was grateful for that. After dinner, Eric came to the door. "Thank you," he said quietly. "I didn't think you'd say yes." She asked politely, I said. I respected that. He looked down at his hands, then met my eyes again. "I know it's going to take time," he said. "I don't want to rush you. I just wanted to say, we're trying." "I know," I said. "But trying once doesn't undo years of damage. I get that." Before he left, he asked if I'd consider coming to Ellie's birthday party next month. It would be at a park. No big crowd. Just family. "I'll think about it," I said. He nodded. That's fair. After they left, I sat alone. Again. But this time it didn't feel heavy. It didn't feel like waiting. It felt like a decision I had made. And stuck to. 3 weeks passed. I didn't go back to the old house. I didn't accept any new invitations. But I didn't block them either. I kept my boundaries clear. I didn't offer to babysit. I didn't send money. I didn't apologize for stepping away. One morning, I walked to the local cafe. The barista smiled and greeted me by name. I took a seat by the window and watched the street. There were people living full lives outside of the mess. I'd been stuck in for years. I could feel myself becoming one of them again. That week, I called a lawyer and had my will updated. Like something I should have done years ago. That afternoon, I got my first message from Eric since the move. Eric, hey, just checking if you got settled okay. Let me know if you need help with anything. I didn't answer right away. I didn't know if it was genuine or just guilt. I waited 2 days before replying. Me. I'm fine, thank you. Everything's handled. He responded with a thumbs up emoji. That was it. 2 days later, Vanessa called. I didn't pick up. She left a voicemail. Hi, just wanted to say we miss you. The kids have been asking about you. Ellie keeps talking about the oatmeal bars you used to make. Anyway, hope you're well. I listened to the whole message. Then I deleted it. They missed the version of me that cooked, cleaned, paid, and never spoke up. They didn't miss me. That week, I started writing everything down. Not for anyone else, just for me. I made a list of every time I had said yes when I should have said no. I listed every dollar I had spent on their lives. I wrote down every moment where I had felt dismissed, ignored, or used. It was longer than I thought it would be. The notebook filled up fast. A few days later, I went to the post office and filed a change of address request. I didn't tell Eric or Vanessa. I didn't want them showing up unannounced or sending mail I didn't ask for. That Saturday, while having coffee on the balcony, my neighbor from across the hall introduced herself. Her name was Brenda. Middle-aged, divorced, worked part-time at a dental clinic. You just move in? She asked. Yes, I said. Last week. Getting away from family? She asked with a dry smile. I raised my eyebrows. Something like that. She nodded. Same here. She didn't ask for more details and I didn't offer any. But I liked her already. The following Monday, Eric showed up at the apartment. He didn't text or call, just knocked. I saw him through the peephole, standing there with a small paper bag. I hesitated, then opened the door halfway. Hey, he said. Didn't mean to just show up. I brought you something. He held out the bag. Inside were 2 oatmeal bars, the kind I used to make. Ellie made me help her bake, he added, trying to smile. She said you never wrote down the recipe, so we had to guess. I took the bag without a word and stepped aside, so he could come in. He looked around the apartment, taking in the bare furniture and clean counters. Nice place, he said. Quiet. It is. He sat down at the small kitchen table while I made coffee. I handed him a mug and sat across from him. I wanted to say I'm sorry again, he said. I know we didn't handle things right. I know we hurt you. I waited. I let Vanessa take the lead on a lot of stuff, he said. She has a strong personality. Sometimes I just go along with things to keep the peace. But this wasn't okay. And I should have said something. I should have stood up for you. I nodded. But you didn't. I know, he said quietly. And I don't expect you to forgive us right away. I just wanted you to know I get it now. And I'm not proud of how I acted. He pulled something out of his jacket pocket. A folded check. I frowned. What is that? I added everything up. The flights, the hotel, the extras. I went through the bank statements. It's not the full amount, but it's what I can give right now. I didn't touch the check. I didn't ask for repayment, I said. I know, but I want to start making it right. I kept my hands in my lap. Tell Vanessa I said thank you for the voicemail, I added. But I'm not ready to play grandma right now. I need space. He looked disappointed, but he nodded. Okay, he said. I understand. We sat in silence for a few seconds. Then I stood up and opened the door. Eric took the hint. He grabbed his coat, left the check on the table, and walked out. I closed the door behind him, locked it, and stared at the check. I didn't know if I would deposit it. But I knew this. Something had changed. For the first time, Eric had shown up without asking for anything, and I didn't feel obligated to forgive him just because he showed up. The check sat on my kitchen table for 5 days. I didn't touch it. I didn't deposit it. I didn't even unfold it to look at the amount again. Every time I walked past it, I felt something tighten in my chest. Not anger, not even sadness, just a pressure. Like it was a symbol of everything that had gone wrong. I'm not a babysitter or a backup wallet. I'm your mother. And if you can't treat me like family, then I don't need to live under your roof. His jaw tightened. Vanessa didn't mean to hurt you. She just has strong opinions. I know exactly what Vanessa meant, I said. She's made it clear for years. He didn't argue. That night, I packed some things and moved them to the guest room, the one I had once called mine. I wanted a clear separation until I left. Vanessa didn't come home until after 9 p.m. She walked into the kitchen, saw my suitcase in the hallway, and froze. You're back. I didn't bother responding. She looked at me for a few seconds, then forced a smile. I'm glad you're okay. I stayed silent. She poured herself a glass of wine and sat at the kitchen island. The trip was stressful, to be honest. The hotel downgraded us. The dinner reservations disappeared. The kids were upset. It was a mess. That must have been frustrating, I said. She looked at me like she couldn't tell if I was being sarcastic. It was more than frustrating, she said. It ruined the whole thing. And now you know how it feels. Her expression dropped. Are you trying to punish us? No, I said. I'm just done pretending I'm part of something I'm not. She crossed her arms. So what? You're just leaving? Walking out? After everything we've done for you? I raised my eyebrows. What have you done for me, Vanessa? Be specific. She opened her mouth but said nothing. Exactly. Over the next few days, I searched online listings, called a few places, and visited 2 small rentals near the edge of town. I found one I liked, a small unit, 2 bedrooms, clean, quiet. It wasn't fancy, but it was mine. I signed the paperwork and set the move-in date for the following Friday. When I told Eric, he looked down again and nodded. I understand, he said, but I hope this isn't permanent. I'll decide that when I see what permanent looks like without being used. He didn't respond. That week, I made copies of every bank record, every receipt, and every transaction tied to the trip. I filed them away, not because I planned to sue or report anything, but because I wasn't going to let anyone rewrite the story later. I wanted it all documented, just in case Vanessa tried to tell people I had abandoned the family or refused to help. I had helped, too much. 2 days before I moved out, I sat with the kids after school while Eric was working. They were eating snacks and watching cartoons when the younger one, Ellie, looked up and asked, "Grandma, why didn't you come with us to the beach?" I froze. Vanessa had clearly told them something. I could feel it. Because I wasn't invited. "Sweetheart," I said. Her eyes got wide. "Daddy said you were too tired." I wasn't tired. She looked confused. And for the first time, I realized I didn't owe these people silence anymore. I wasn't going to lie to protect their version of the story. On Friday morning, I moved out. No one offered to help carry boxes. Vanessa wasn't even home. Eric stood by the door, hands in his pockets, watching. "I hope you'll come visit," he said quietly. I nodded once. "I'll think about it." When the last box was in the car, I looked back at the house one last time. The front yard was overgrown. The windows were smudged. The cat watched me from the window. No one waved. I drove away without looking in the rearview mirror. The new apartment was smaller than the house, but it was clean, quiet, and completely mine. I moved in on a Friday morning. The property manager, a middle-aged woman named Carol, handed me the keys and showed me around. The place had white walls, 2 small bedrooms, and a tiny balcony that overlooked a parking lot. It wasn't much, but I didn't need much. What I needed was peace. I unpacked my things slowly over the weekend. No one called to ask how I was doing. No one came by to help. I didn't expect them to. By Sunday night, I had set up the essentials: bedroom, kitchen, bathroom. I kept everything simple. I didn't bring any of the decorations from Eric and Vanessa's house. Those belonged to another life. On Monday morning, I turned off my phone for 3 hours and went to the grocery store. I walked every aisle alone, choosing what I liked, not what someone else needed. I didn't buy snacks for the kids or almond milk for Vanessa. I didn't text Eric to ask if they needed anything. It felt strange, but also normal. And inside, there was a small fireplace and a clean wooden table that reminded me of the house I grew up in. No one asked me to do anything. No one needed me to babysit or pick up groceries or transfer money. I sat with a cup of tea and looked out the window for hours. It was the first time I had been alone like that in years. By the second day, I started feeling something I hadn't expected: calm. There were no more notifications. No passive-aggressive messages, no guilt trips, just silence. I cooked for myself. I went on a short hike. I watched old movies on the cabin's small TV and fell asleep without a single worry. It wasn't a luxury resort. It didn't have a spa or ocean view, but it was mine. On the 4th day, I turned my phone back on. 12 voicemails, 9 texts, 1 email. The messages started out demanding, then turned desperate. Eric, we came back and you're not here. The house is locked. What the hell is going on? Vanessa, did you really leave? What are we supposed to do about the cat? The kids are asking questions. This isn't okay. Eric, Mom, seriously, we're not perfect, but you're taking this too far. Please call me. We need to talk. I didn't answer. The last voicemail from Eric came late that evening. I get it. I messed up. I see it now. The kids missed you. We told them you were sick, but they're not stupid. They saw the tension. Vanessa's upset. I'm upset. I'm not saying we didn't make mistakes, but I need you to stop acting like you're the victim. You chose to do all those things for us. Nobody forced you. So don't punish us like this. Just call me back. He still didn't understand. I chose to help. Yes. I chose to support them. But I never chose to be erased. I never agreed to be treated like a piece of furniture, useful, but invisible. I didn't call him back. Not then. That night, I added 1 more page to my notebook. It's not about the money. It's about what they think I'm worth. And I'm finally starting to see it myself. I came back home 5 days after Eric and Vanessa returned from their vacation. I didn't warn them. I didn't text or call. I arrived just after noon, when I knew Eric would be at work and the kids would be at school. I stood outside the front door with my key in hand for a full minute before unlocking it. The first thing I noticed was that the cat's food bowl was empty. The water bowl, too. Dried kibble clung to the sides, and the floor around it was dirty. I dropped my bag in the hallway, filled both bowls, and sat on the floor next to the cat, who ran up to me as soon as I entered. No note, no apology, nothing on the table. I checked the trash. They hadn't even taken it out. The entire house was just as they had left it before the trip. Blankets still balled up on the couch, dishes in the sink, mail stacked by the door. As if they had come home, realized I wasn't there to clean up, and decided to wait until I returned. I didn't clean anything. I went upstairs, showered, and unpacked. That evening, Eric came home first. I was sitting at the kitchen table with a cup of tea and my notebook open. He froze in the doorway. "You're back," he said, setting his keys down slowly. "Yes," I answered. He didn't move for a second. Then he walked toward the fridge, opened it, and stared inside like he was thinking of something to say. Eventually, he closed it and turned around. "Can we talk?" I nodded. He sat down across from me, rubbing the back of his neck. "Look, I know you're angry. I probably would be too if someone left me behind." I didn't interrupt. "I just want to explain. Vanessa thought it would be complicated with all of us going. She said the room wasn't big enough. The kids had been looking forward to it and you went along with it," I said. "You didn't speak up. You didn't even tell me." He looked down. "I know," he said. "I should have. I didn't handle it right." "And then you blocked me from your social media," I continued. "She removed me from the group chat. You left me here to watch your house and you acted like I wasn't even a part of the family. That wasn't the intention, but it was the result." He nodded slowly. "I'm sorry," he said. "I really am." I let the silence stretch. "I won't be staying here anymore," I said calmly. "I'll give myself 2 weeks to find a place. I've already started looking." He blinked. "What do you mean? You're moving out?" "I'm not a maid, Eric." The first was short. Vanessa. "I don't think this is funny anymore." The second was longer. Vanessa. "We're trying to enjoy our trip and we don't understand what's going on. We trusted you to help us. This feels really petty, and it's not like we didn't have a reason. We didn't think you'd be comfortable with all the activities, and the resort is very limited in space. You're being unreasonable now." She was still pretending they did this for my sake, still twisting the narrative. I didn't answer. Instead, I opened my laptop and logged into the travel portal again. I went through each reservation, verifying which ones had already been used and which ones I could still modify. The spa sessions were gone. The kids' jungle tour, canceled. The private driver for their return flight was removed. There were still a few items left on the account. I made more adjustments. After that, I opened my bank account and moved the rest of the funds from the card they had access to. It had been the one Vanessa used just for emergencies. I transferred everything out, then closed it completely. Let them try to order one more piña colada on that. By the afternoon, the silence returned. For most of the day, I sat in the living room watching television and folding laundry. My laundry, not theirs. The cat slept next to me on the couch, purring quietly, unaware that the world upstairs had shifted. I didn't check my phone again until the evening. That's when I saw the new voicemail from Eric. His voice was low, tense. "Mom? Look, I think we need to talk. I don't know what's going on with you, but we're stuck out here and nothing is working the way it should. Vanessa is freaking out. The kids are asking questions. We're tired. Just, if you're angry, I get it, but we need to solve this like adults." There it was, the same condescending tone I had heard for years, only now with a hint of desperation. That part was new. I didn't call him back. I didn't need to say anything. I had said everything I needed when I removed their names from the activity bookings, when I downgraded their room to standard with a note, unauthorized guest name, usage. And still, I wasn't finished. At dinner, I made myself a sandwich and sat down at the kitchen table with the printed receipts. I started organizing them into categories: airfare, hotel, dining, entertainment. Then I highlighted each one that had been paid directly from my personal account. I wasn't doing this to prepare a case. I didn't want revenge in court. I just wanted the truth in black and white. Eric and Vanessa had taken advantage of me for over a year. Before this trip, they had convinced me to help out with home repairs, daycare bills, and even car maintenance. I had told myself I was doing it for the kids. I believed I was helping them build something stable. But this trip made it clear they didn't want me in their lives. They wanted my support, my time, my money, but not my presence. And I was done giving what wasn't respected. That night, I blocked Vanessa's number. Not permanently, just enough to enjoy a full night of sleep. The next morning, I booked a car service to take me to the airport. My cabin rental in Colorado was scheduled for the next day, and I had no intention of being around when they returned. I knew them. If I stayed, they'd show up at the door pretending to want to talk, only to shift the blame again. They'd cry, apologize without meaning it, and try to flip everything on me, so I wouldn't be here when they got back. I left a printed letter on the kitchen table. It was short. Eric, Vanessa, I hope the rest of your trip is going well. When you return, I won't be here. I've taken a short vacation of my own. I suggest you take this time to reflect, not just on what happened, but on the way you've treated me over the last few years. Everything you used in Costa Rica was paid by me. The flights, the room, the tours, the transfers. You chose to leave me behind anyway. I won't forget that. Don't call me. I'll reach out when I'm ready. Mommy packed light. One suitcase, warm clothes, a book I hadn't read in years. I fed the cat one last time, locked the door, and asked the neighbor to keep an eye on things for a few days. At the airport, I turned my phone on airplane mode and didn't look back. The cabin was quiet. Snow-covered trees surrounded the property. She said it when I asked why she needed my credit card, just for this one thing, or when I pointed out that she hadn't reimbursed me for the hotel deposit. She always said it like my existence was a disturbance. By the afternoon, I had opened a spreadsheet. I listed every expense related to the trip. $200. Flight tickets for 4, I paid in full. $870. Hotel upgrades, charged on my card. $1,450. Guided tours, spa services, meal reservations, $295. Travel insurance, $385. Airport transfer, resort, transport. Total, $6,282. I didn't count the groceries I bought for their trip, or the gas money for all the errands, or the new clothes Vanessa said the kids needed for the warm climate. I didn't count the emotional cost of being dismissed, manipulated, or treated like unpaid staff. Eric had once told me, "Mom, we appreciate you so much. You're the glue that holds everything together." Glue doesn't get vacations. It just gets used. That evening, around 7 p.m., I got the first text from Vanessa. It was polite, fake, and clearly written through gritted teeth. Vanessa, "Hi, hope everything's okay back home. Can you please check if the mail arrived? And make sure the trash bins are taken out tomorrow morning? Thank you so much." No mention of how I was doing. No apology. Just another task. I stared at the message for a few minutes before replying. Me. All fine here. Everything under control. Let me know if you need anything else. She responded with a thumbs-up emoji. I sat back in my chair and made a decision. I wasn't going to cancel their trip. Not yet. But I wasn't going to let them keep enjoying something they thought came free either. The next day, I logged into the travel portal and selected Modify Booking. I scrolled to the Included Amenities section and started making adjustments. I downgraded their return airport transfer from a private van to the shared shuttle that leaves once every 3 hours. Then I removed the deluxe breakfast, in-room option. I canceled the paid excursions to the waterfall hike and the sunset boat ride. Those weren't refundable, but I didn't care. I just didn't want them to enjoy them. They would get the generic buffet. No spa, no boat, no champagne, just sand and regret. I waited. 2 days later, Eric finally called. I let it ring twice before answering. "Hey, Mom," he said, trying to sound casual. "Everything okay?" "Sure," I said flatly. "Why wouldn't it be?" "I don't know. Vanessa said the hotel said something weird when she tried to confirm our massage appointment. Something about the upgrades being removed?" I said nothing. "Did you do anything on the travel portal?" he asked. "Yes," I said calmly. "Okay. Why?" "Because everything is in my name, and I decided I didn't want to pay for things I'm not invited to." Silence. "Mom, it's not like that," he said. "We just thought—" "No," I interrupted. "You didn't think. You decided. You planned this whole thing and left. Me here like I was the maid. You didn't even tell me. You didn't even have the decency to say it to my face." "Look, I'm sorry, okay?" he said, his voice getting tighter. "We just wanted a break. Vanessa said you wouldn't enjoy it." "Vanessa was wrong," I said, "and so were you." He exhaled sharply. So are you going to cancel the rest of the stuff? No, I said. I'm not going to cancel anything. I'm just going to make sure that from now on, you understand the value of what you take from people. What does that mean? You'll find out. I hung up. That night, I opened my old email account, the one they didn't know about, and booked myself a trip, not to Costa Rica, to a small cabin in Colorado. Just 3 nights. Quiet, snow, and no one asking me to feed their cat. I used the same credit card I had used for their trip. I figured I'd earned it. The following day, Vanessa sent me a message. Vanessa, I don't understand what's going on. The dinner reservation is gone. The kayaking tour was canceled. Why are you doing this? We trusted you. I didn't respond. I went outside and sat on the porch. I watched the sunset, drank my tea, and let their world unravel from the comfort of the house they thought I'd be too ashamed to leave. They wanted a vacation without me? Fine. But they would come back to a very different version of me than the one they left behind. The morning after Eric's call, I woke up to 3 missed calls and 2 messages from Vanessa. She was wearing sunglasses and a wide-brimmed hat. The caption read, "First day in paradise with my people. Blessed, my people." There was no mention of me. I didn't comment. I didn't like the post. I just stared at it. Then I clicked on her profile picture and noticed something else. She had blocked me. I opened Eric's profile. Same thing. Blocked. I checked the agency app I had used to pay for everything. My login still worked. Vanessa had forgotten to change the email. It showed all the booking details. The hotel, the tours, the transfers. I clicked through every tab. Every single upgrade was under my account. Every confirmation number was tied to my personal email. Every reservation had my name on it as the original payer. That's when it hit me. They had gone on that vacation with my money in my name and had the nerve to block me. They thought I would sit here, in this house, feed their cat, water their plants, and wait like some invisible helper until they brought me back a souvenir I didn't want. Something inside me snapped. I clicked into the Manage My Trip section of the agency's dashboard. There were options. Not many. But enough. I saw the rental car reservation. I saw the hotel spa appointments. I saw the premium dinner bookings and the airport pickup service. And then I saw something that made me pause. The payment method. Still, listed as mine. They hadn't changed a thing. I logged out. I didn't cancel anything. Not yet. Instead, I opened a blank notebook and wrote 1 sentence at the top of the page. Let's see how paradise treats you when the maid stops working. I didn't sleep that night. I spent hours at the kitchen table, staring at my notebook, going over every single detail of the trip I had paid for. I wasn't angry. Not yet. I was something worse. Steady, clear, and calculating. Eric and Vanessa didn't just forget me. They erased me. They left me in this house, with the grocery list still stuck to the fridge, with their cat waiting to be fed, and the trash bins filled from their pre-trip cleaning spree. They hadn't even done a basic sweep before leaving. It was like they had no doubt I'd be here, ready to clean up after them. And the worst part? They were right. At 6 a.m., I put on a sweater and slippers and started with the dishes. Not because I wanted to help them, but because I needed the kitchen clean so I could think. I needed order around me if I was going to figure out exactly how I wanted to handle this. The agency's travel portal had a 24/7 online support chat. I tested it. A rep named Tomas responded immediately. I asked general questions about changing reservation names, adjusting bookings, and refund policies. He was helpful. Too helpful. Turns out, because all of the reservations were in my name and tied to my verified email and payment credentials, I had full administrative control. Vanessa had never switched it over, probably because she assumed I didn't know how to use the dashboard. That was her mistake. And Eric's mistake was thinking I would just sit here and cry. I wasn't going to cry. I was going to do exactly what they expected of me. Stay behind and take care of things. but not the way they imagined. I opened the folder of printed confirmations I had kept in the side drawer. Every payment I made was documented, right down to the last cent. I had bank statements, receipts, even email exchanges with the agency where I asked for clarity on fees. It was all there, organized, dated, and tied to my name. They thought I didn't keep records. At noon, I made a call to the hotel in Costa Rica. I explained I was the original payer and needed to confirm the check-in process. The woman on the line was polite and cheerful. She confirmed the suite booking and noted that Mr. and Mrs. Allen had checked in without issue the day before. And if I need to change something? I asked. Of course, ma'am. You're the primary account holder. Would you like to update or cancel any services? I smiled. No, not right now. After I hung up, I checked social media again. Vanessa had posted new photos. Her legs by the pool, a fancy cocktail in hand, the kids playing in the sand, Eric napping in a cabana. The caption read, "This is exactly what we needed. No stress. No drama, just peace. No drama." She always said I created drama whenever I asked questions about how money was being used.